Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to all of you into my channel A to Z Therapy with Smriti. This is your host Smriti Sikta Mishra. I am an occupational therapy and clinical psychology student. So come, join me on my journey of becoming a therapist and let's learn together. Welcome to episode 3 of season 1 Talk with Occupational Therapist and Physiotherapist. So, hello and a very warm welcome to all of you. And today we have a very special guest with us, Miss Anushka Puri, who is an occupational therapist, and she has graduated from India's one of the most prestigious institute for BOT, that is IPH, Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyaya National Institute for Persons with Physical Disabilities. So, hello, ma.
Hello. I hope you are good and doing
Yeah,
safe.
yeah. Same on your side. I hope that.
Okay.
Okay. So, today we will be talking about how beauty course is full of learnings, surprises, and creativity. So, as you know, that I just want to, you know, that we will be dividing our session into three parts. We will be discussing about learnings, surprises, and creativity individually. Okay. So, before we start, I just
Mhm.
want you to introduce to our listeners that why you chose OT and a bit about your background. Just introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing good and safe. As ma'am introduced, my name is Anushka and I'm an occupational therapy graduate. And currently, I am working as a part time occupational therapist with a private clinic at Gurgaon. And I'm also doing my own venture. Along with that, I'm also preparing for my master's program. So I have completed my graduation in April 2020 from Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyaya National Institute for Persons with Physical Disabilities, which was formerly known as IPH. So it's a central government institute which is affiliated to the University of Delhi, and it's located at ITO. So, the reason I chose to pursue occupational therapy was the simple fact that I wanted to be a part of a health profession. To be honest, when I was in my high school, I never planned to do occupational therapy.
Mhm.
Luckily, I came across this course through an acquaintance, and when
Okay.
I searched occupational therapy, I was very fascinated with the concept of promoting wellness and health being through, independence and activity
Mhm.
based treatment.
Mhm.
Moreover, when I got into the details of the subject, I could correlate to it very closely because of my personal interest in psychobiology.
Okay.
That was the main reason. The only force that drive me to pursue this course at that time was the opportunity to learn and learn something very different and
Mhm.
do a completely different field in a life. So that was the only thing that motivated me to pursue occupational therapy.
Okay. Okay, great. So, in terms, so you described occupational therapy in your own words. It's like an OT inspired story. How would you define the learning that, if you describe the 4 year course, where in terms of,
Mhm.
you can describe it properly with the subjects you had and the theory, practicals, everything.
Okay. So in India, we have occupational therapy course of 4.5 years duration,
Okay.
which includes your 6 months of internship,
Okay.
including your compulsory ruler postings.
Okay.
Okay, which is a part of your community-based rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
See the distribution of subjects in every year
Mm-hmm.
and the examination patterns. It varies a bit from universities to universities.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
but the usual college routine includes your 4 hours of clinical postings,
Mm-hmm.
that is from 9 to 1 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
followed by your theoretical classes post lunch.
Okay, so does this theory and practical thing starts from the very first year, or it is like third year or fourth year?
Yeah, now this thing also differs from some universities. In some university they started from the second year itself,
Okay.
but as in my university, we were introduced to the clinicals from the third year,
Okay.
and the we were introduced as well to the core occupational therapy subjects from the second year. So the first year of our college life was mostly evolving around the core medical subjects.
Okay.
So over course of 4 years, you study every medical subjects
Hmm.
excluding just your forensics.
Okay.
Otherwise, every medical subjects you study,
Hmm.
and along with the core occupational therapy subjects.
Okay.
Uh, so, if we talk about subjects specifically,
Hmm.
as an occupational therapy students, we are more focused over studying anatomy,
Hmm.
physiology,
Hmm.
neurology, pediatrics, orthopedics, psychology, journal, medicine, and surgery in detail as
Okay.
compared to the bit other medical subjects. Those are
Okay.
also taught in the detail,
Hmm.
but these are the main focus for us that we have to go thorough with it.
Okay.
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 And in the final year then we are also introduced to the subjects of research methodologies and
Hmm.
biostatistics,
Okay.
so which prepares you for your research programs and later on in life.
Hmm.
As far as core occupational therapy subjects are concerned,
Hmm.
introduce you to the concepts of activity analysis, posture evaluations,
Okay.
um, activities of daily living, adaptations and modifications,
Hmm.
biomechanics, which involves the study of the human joints using the physical principles,
Hmm.
and also, we study about various orthopedic appliances like canes, crutches, splintings,
Acha.
wheelchairs,
Okay.
um, and then numerous conditions, including mental health conditions, cardiac, neurology
Mm-hmm.
condition, and the
Hmm.
specific role of occupational therapy and the treatment protocols in these conditions. So,
Okay.
grossly, this is how the course is divided.
Okay, thank you. It was a great description. So I would just want to know that what's the importance of clinical postings? You said that many institutes or universities
Mhm.
started from second year itself, or like the exposure to the clinical side. So how is it important? Why it is so necessary that students at from a very early age, like in terms of their course, they need to be exposed to the clinical side of the practice?
See, clinical postings is the only way you learn how to deal with the patients.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's a hands on experience totally.
Hmm.
Not only in terms of learning about your work areas,
Hmm.
it also prepares you for the clinical reasoning and skills you require in your entire life.
Hmm.
It's very necessary to understand if the patient is walking in, what observations you have to make
Hmm.
as soon as the patient has entered in your room.
Hmm.
So then how to evaluations are to be done, how do you have to take a history, how do you have to communicate with the family members, and what kind of goal settings you have to do, what factors to be considered while you are planning interventions for the client. So it's clinical postings are not in nutshell are kind of your total gives you an idea about your professional life, how it's gonna be. So
Okay.
from starting from the evaluations process to the documentations,
Hmm.
everything you learn during your clinical hours.
Clinicals. Okay. Great. So you talked about that there is a 6 month internship period. So what is all that about, and how important it is to do your internship? I was seeing your background, and it had like 2 months in some hospital in a particular department,
Yeah.
and 3 months in some other. So how is it important to have a holistic sort of internship where you consist of like from burn department to pediatrics to ortho? So this is such a like varying field. So how is it that important?
See, so in the month of, apart from the 6 months of internship, we are in our academics year. Also, we are posted in the in all of these departments.
Okay.
But our duties obviously refine as your year of study advances.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, getting this variety of exposure of departments allows you to have a great clinical exposure. You are able to relate to the different patients, and somehow in in orthopedic department at one hospital you see the patient of the same condition, and then in the other department you again
You
see
see
that
another.
other patient. So
Hmm.
it refines your personal clinical skills also.
Hmm.
You are learning and you are applying it side by side. It
Hmm.
goes both the ways. So like
Okay.
I have a clinical exposure of working in very prestigious hospitals of Delhi, like
Mm-hmm.
Safdarjung, Kalavati,
Hmm.
uh, Pant, LNJP. So in all these hospitals, I got an opportunity specifically to work in the wards, ICUs, that is intensive care units, then neonatal ICUs.
Hmm.
So it's a very broad range you get to see, because when we talk about occupational therapy, people you usually think that we deal only with therapies related to the pediatrics, or we
Hmm.
only treat autism, we only get into learning disabilities.
Hmm.
But it's not that we only are available in
Exactly.
school settings,
Hmm.
so working in the acute care setting is something which you learn during these variety of postings
Hmm.
of hospitals.
Hmm.
Uh, as far as the units are concerned, I have been posted across different units like burns, you
Hmm.
mentioned,
Hmm.
then spinal cord injury
Hmm.
units,
Hmm.
then psychosocial, and then I have an exposure of also working in sensory integration, then psychiatry. So it's ample of departments we have seen in last
Hmm.
3 years of our clinical posting, including our internship.
Okay, great. So how are the hospitals and department experience? If it's like it may vary, but according to you, how was your experience? Like for the past 3 years, if you could just describe.
Yeah, so the one thing I've been very interested after going through my hospital's training
Hmm.
was that acute care rehabilitation.
Okay.
This was something when I got into the course, I never, thought of doing it.
Hmm.
But now at present, I have a great interest in the acute care rehabilitation. The
Okay.
importance of occupational therapy in the ICUs and the
Hmm.
wards, and what kind of therapies you can do at the bedside, what
Hmm.
modifications you can start from the initial day of the post surgery patients. It's very fascinating, and there's a lot more to do, and working on those small little components of your physical health and your cognitive health
Hmm.
is something which really fascinates me.
Hmm.
And then during my internship, it was a very fun experience. Apart from doing clinical, we in hospitals we also did workshops related to occupational
Hmm.
therapy
Hmm.
awareness, or related to specifically Down syndrome,
Hmm.
spinal cord injury talks.
Okay.
So it was a very holistic approach you go through.
Hmm.
It's just not in clinicals that you are going, you're studying, and you're applying.
Hmm.
It's you are having a fun life apart from that also. Hospitals
Hmm.
are not that boring.
Exactly.
What is
Exactly.
generally, people
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
prefer
Yeah.
getting into medical field things that.
Hmm.
But it was a really fun experience. I remember during my posting of GB Pant, we got there was this October month only last year, and
Hmm.
we were planning for Occupational Therapy Day, World
Okay.
Occupational Therapy Day, and then we did a street play there.
Okay.
So we took about different conditions, starting ranging from fractures to mental health condition to suicides to abuse, everything we considered, and then we showed the role of occupational therapy in all of those conditions.
Mhm.
Then we also have like departmental competitions for students, which mostly hospitals organizes, where you can, present your scientific posters or some of your work you have done or any case presentation you would like to do.
Okay.
So that's all was all involved in our academics also. And
Okay.
sometimes these presentations were also graded. And
Mm.
then in internship we are also supposed to submit particular projects along with our clinical trainings. It's
Okay.
on which you either have to develop something new in the department,
Mm.
or if anything is already present,
Mm.
you need to modify it according to the new approaches you are using or the present case condition you are saying.
Okay.
Like I can show you something regarding this.
Oh, yeah, sure.
uh, I think you have to allow me for screen sharing.
Oh, 1 second. I think I changed the settings. Maybe it is. Okay. Now try, please.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, okay.
Are you able to see
Yeah,
the screen?
yeah, yeah.
So
Well, as ma'am will be sharing a screen, I would just like to tell our viewers that she talked about World Occupational Day. World Occupational Day is celebrated on 27th October throughout the world, and I think October is also known as the OT month, right, ma'am?
yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
it is.
Mm.
It just went on, the occupational therapy day went
Yeah,
on
they just
3 days back,
yeah,
and this
exactly.
time the theme was to reimagine.
Yeah, reimagine doing.
Yeah. So this is one of the pictures from my internships days. The above pictures, it was a group activity. We were all awarded with the certificate of participation in the street play and poster competitions.
Okay.
And then these are the students from different colleges.
Okay.
We were the interns and we organized it, and then were students coming from the like Jamia, from IPH itself, and
Mm-hmm.
Amity, who came to participate in the competitions.
Okay.
Then below in the picture we are making it's the bottom left.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. I can't see the
Yeah,
pictures. I can just
you can't.
see your screen
Mhm.
having the pictures, but I can't see the individual pictures. I mean, I can't see your single collage, sort of.
Is it available now?
No, I think it's taking time.
Is
Okay,
it
you
loading?
may I maybe I can't see something. I think the screen is freezed or something with my side of your screen. So okay, you can
It's
go
not
on. Maybe it will
visible.
come out. And I will edit it with your pictures.
Okay.
Okay, I have them, so I'll edit it. That's not an issue.
Okay.
Okay, you may go on.
Okay. So then there's this bottom left, there's a picture of us
Hmm?
forming an O and T,
Yeah.
describing occupational therapy.
Hmm?
And this was the end part of our street play we did.
Okay.
And over the right, this is again a picture of me with my other colleagues and staff from pediatric unit.
Okay.
I'll show you, and I'll show you the what we made during.
Yeah, the arts.
Yeah. So On the top, there's the poster which I made for the presentation on the World Occupational Therapy Day.
Okay.
It's on the topic occupational therapy in mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So in this, I described the various approaches on the side used by an occupational therapist, which included activity scheduling, relaxation techniques, social stories, group discussions, then mindfulness based therapies,
Mm.
recreational therapies. And in the center, in a brain, I have made, and in that, I have described various conditions of mental health, including schizophrenia, mood disorders, depression, suicides, anxiety disorders. And then if you come down below it, there's this poster again, which me and my seniors have presented in our national conference of occupational therapy in
Okay.
the year 2019.
Okay.
So I was in my fourth year, and me and one of my immediate senior, we both presented this poster at a national conference in the front of a very prestigious occupational therapist.
Mm.
And fortunately, we won the best prize for this poster as well.
Okay.
So,
Congratulations.
thank you. So this was the poster which described the old approaches in the bottom of the glass art, and then above we showed the new approaches which are coming up. And
Okay.
then it's not a clear picture, but then over there on the top, it was an occupational therapist sitting in a hot air balloon who is pulling up all the new approaches along with the traditional approaches.
Mhm.
So it was a whole hierarchy. We have showed how the occupational therapy is evolving years after
From
years.
past to present to future.
Yes,
Okay.
that was the
Great.
concept.
Okay.
And then again, the top poster above, it says, "Welcome to the OT world,"
Mm-hmm.
and from clay to
Play to
computer.
computer.
So, yeah. So this was the topic of this year National Conference 2020. This poster was mostly made by my juniors with my guidance. So
Okay.
in this poster, we have described, the theme was obviously from how do have OT evolved from the creative art of clay just to now to the traditional modern computer gamings and the
Mm-hmm.
technology.
Hmm.
So in that we have showed the every technique. So on the left side, it's all the techniques which traditionally used.
Hmm.
And then over the right, we have added on the new technology of the
Technologies. Yeah, it's
telerehabilitation.
beautiful. Mm-hmm.
So, and then again, this is the picture of mine with my poster of occupational therapy and mental health. I won third
Okay.
prize for this poster presentation.
Okay. Great.
So this is some of the activities which we used to do in our internship period.
Okay. Okay. So
And
you
as you were
meant,
talking, yeah,
yeah,
as
you
you
go
were
on.
talking, okay, so as you were talking about the different hospitals I have been posted into, so
Mm-hmm.
there's this picture of various departments I've been posted. So on the left side, there's a picture. If you can see, it's there are various beds,
Mm-hmm.
uh, com- and there's a treadmill after that. So
Yeah.
this is IMD, that is Institute of the Muscular Dystrophy. It's located at
Solan.
Solan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were posted there for a ruler posting for a month. So here we used to treat lots of patients suffering through muscular dystrophy. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a complete rehabilitation process there. So
Mm-hmm.
I was posted at the department itself. Otherwise, there are all of my other colleagues and batchmates who used to go for home visit therapies
Okay.
in the villages to for those people who cannot come to the center because of the either of the financial aids or because of the physical issues.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that how it used to be the posting all about. Then on the top on the right, there is this picture from Safdarjung Hospital, which is located just near to AIMS.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the occupational therapy department
Okay.
uh, of the Safdarjung Hospital. So in this picture, we have these two units, if you can see. These are
Mm-hmm.
known as inclined standing units,
Okay.
which we use to improve shoulder range of motion, strength. It also has on the back weights are prescribed there, so you can
Okay.
change the weight according to the patient conditions.
Okay.
And then there's some of the charts you can see on the background. These are made by
Uh-huh.
the students itself.
Okay.
So students have taken the initiative of describing the, some of the preventions of back injuries over the blue chart. And then
Uh-huh.
on the corner, you have another chart which describes the knee precautions for the patients with knee replacement, osteoarthritis.
Okay.
So these are made in the very simple and basic language for the
Uh-huh.
patient's understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Then this is the on the bottom corner. We have the picture from one of my most memorable postings. That is GB Pant Hospital. So
Okay.
I was posted here for 2 months, which
Okay.
included 1 month posting in the psychiatry department and 1 month in the neurology department.
Okay. So thank
So
you. They were
that's
great.
how, yeah, that's how
That
you
how it
have
goes.
your.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, go on.
No, I was saying that that's how you get to spend your time in your internship. There's a lot more than just clinicals
Just
and
clinic.
academics you
Hmm.
do.
Hmm. That what make occupational therapist a complete person. We need to have different
Yeah,
aspects. Yeah, that's beautiful. So coming back to our question, so we talked about hello.
yeah. Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Ha, ha, ha. So we were talking about the college and activities. So how is IPH different from the other institutes providing the trainings of BOT? There is NITAR, there is SRM, then there is Manipal. In Delhi itself there is IP Hamdard. So there are so many colleges, but how is IPH different from them? Uh, According to you, it's like person to person. It may vary.
Yeah. Well, see, studying from a national institute itself is a matter of pride.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what I personally feel that IPH has best thing about IPH it's is the clinical exposure you get. If you see all the other colleges you talked about like Jamia or if you talk about Manipal, all of these colleges have their own hospitals associated with their institution, which is not the case with IPH. IPH is an autonomous body and it
Mm-hmm.
works only on the outpatient service department.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it ensures that for the best clinical exposures, the students get the best clinical exposures through working in the different hospitals, which is, I
Mm-hmm.
think, great. Rather than
Yeah,
working in just one
one.
hospital,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, you get to work in the very reputed hospitals of Delhi, and there's hardly probably any hospital, the big hospital in the Delhi, I have not visited because of the my academical trainings, whether it be
Hmm.
Safdarjung, Kalavati,
Hmm.
RML. So and then you get a wide variety of clinical exposure because of the collaboration with the different central and state government hospitals.
Hmm. Hmm.
And secondly, then we all are trained under the therapist who have an experience of about 20 to 30 years.
Hmm.
So that refines you to work in a very different way. You learn from new therapists also, you learn the traditional approaches also.
Hmm.
So it's a whole collaborative approach you learn and
Hmm.
then you apply it also. So
Hmm.
that's the best part. And apart from that, it's mostly same everywhere. There's just a bit difference, but personally for me it's just the clinical exposure you get in the IPH,
Hmm.
and the secondly the placement services you get after when you are in during your internship. After
Okay.
that they do organize for the placement offers. So
Hmm.
they're called various types of clinics and hospitals for the interviews, which
Okay.
apparently didn't happen this year because of COVID
Because.
19.
Hmm.
Otherwise, the clinical exposure in nutshell is the best I feel personally.
Okay. Great. So we've already talked about that there is a part of research in the fourth year. So I would just like to know that what's the research scope in occupational therapy?
See, occupational therapy is still a profession which is evolving and which is growing.
Mm-hmm.
It is an emerging healthcare profession. So in such profession, the scope of research is always available.
Mm-hmm. So
You
right.
so you know what I personally feel is that the world is really evolving, in just years. Everything is changing. If you see our generation and a generation below me, a
Mm.
vast difference of interest has changed, a vast
Yeah,
activities have been changed.
very
So
true.
as the world is evolving, so are our human occupations are evolving. So I
Mm.
feel that it's very important that we keep on studying continuously about the correlation between the human occupations and the environment, because at the end of the day, an occupational therapist work in collaborating these two approaches.
Mm.
Uh, so because of the evolving in the activities and the change in the environment, the research scope keeps on increasing every time. So you either modify the traditional approaches, or you can create something new out of these things. So research scope is vast in this field. If you are an enthusiast about going into a research field, then definitely you should think about it after your bachelor's in occupational therapy.
Great. So now we will be moving on. Do you want to say anything else about the learning part of BOT?
No, I think I explained it the
Okay. Yeah,
whatever
yeah. It
experience
was.
I had.
Yeah, it was very detailed. Thank you. So now we will be moving on to the surprise part. So my first question in this is, when we get into a course, we actually have a lot of dreams, a lot of expectations out of it. But as you mentioned that when studied about OT, you were quite fascinated. So how was your expectations changed over the years, and how the course surprised you with time? Because what happens is that when
Oh,
we enter we think that this is just the thing and we know everything, but when we just
hmm.
enter we realize that this is so much bigger than what we have thought. So how is that
Yeah.
for you?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I would love to answer this
Okay.
because when I entered this course, I
Hmm.
was not very much aware about the outcomes and potential it carries. I had just a brief idea that as an occupational therapist, you are going to deal with certain type of conditions and you're
Hmm.
going to treat these conditions.
Hmm.
That was the perspective I had in my mind.
Hmm.
Till my second year, I had this perspective only. But
Okay.
as soon as we get into the third year of our clinical training, this perspective completely changed. It
Okay.
went totally opposite.
Hmm.
So what happened is that while give performing in occupational therapy, you don't treat patients symptomatically,
Hmm.
which we eventually thinks that if you have to provide, what is it, you just see a symptom, you just
Hmm.
prescribe a therapy, you treat it. But
Hmm.
that's not the case with occupational therapy. It's a such a holistic approach. You
Hmm.
take the individual as a whole. You
Hmm.
work on the smaller components, including the physical, including the mental, including the emotional aspects as well, and
Hmm.
the social
Social
participation
aspect.
also.
Yeah. Hmm.
So it completely shifted on.
Hmm.
And apart from that, I feel that studying occupational therapy has personally changed me as a person. It
Great.
has made me more patient, more empathetic,
More compassionate.
acceptable, and a
Hmm.
very, yeah, more of a keen observer in things. I now try to analyze every small activity I perform for myself also. If I'm stuck somewhere, I'm not able to perform to my 100 level today, it might be because of my some factors in the body, or some factors in my emotional
Environment.
stress is high, or my
Hmm.
environment factor is affecting it. These things I never realized before. And
Hmm.
also, you know I'm very proud that, people say that you should study and then you should change, it should change you, your
Hmm.
perspective, it should give you a better way of thinking. That
Obviously.
actually happened after, working as an occupational therapist. I
Hmm.
have been very acceptable towards, adoption, sexuality,
Hmm.
mental health.
Hmm.
These were things which we have been grown into a society where you it's being
It.
like you should not like very much talk about it,
Hmm.
but you do, right? But because
Yeah.
people are aware about, you do, but not to
Uh,
an extent that you talk to anybody about
Anyone.
it.
Obviously.
It
Hmm.
you have that, yeah, you have
Hmm.
that barrier. So that barrier has been completely shifted off because of the course I have done. So it has changed me as a person, as a whole.
Yeah, great. As it is said that if your education doesn't add value to your personality, then what for it is. So it's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. So we talked about the individuality of people that we don't just see. It's not occupational therapists just don't see the symptoms, but it's a holistic approach that we do. So,
Right.
what it's like, when, for example, there is a robot and we sort of, order the robots. There's like three robots and we order the same thing to three of them. And if they have the same mechanism, then they will respond same, in the same way. But in the case of
Mm-hmm.
humans, it's not like that. So how different and how varied
Mm-hmm.
it, how varied it is to get the response for a similar or I can't say a same therapy, but a similar therapy with a similar background. If you could just analyze and throw some light on that.
Yeah, sure. See, therapy is something which is very individualized.
Hmm.
It's totally based upon the client's factors. What
Hmm.
does the patient want to do in life?
Hmm.
What are the expectations of the family?
Hmm.
What are the interest of the patients himself? So it doesn't just contribute onto ki if this is the condition, these are the associated symptoms, and this is how your therapy has to go. This doesn't work this way.
Hmm.
For occupational therapy, it's very, because it, as a occupational therapy definition says, it's a client centered profession.
Yeah.
That means that you have to engage the client in the activities.
Hmm.
You have to consider his interest, his motivational factors, his expectations from their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as you said that if you give the same input to any robot which is programmed in the same way, will
Hmm.
respond in the same way.
Yeah.
No, that's not the case with the therapies.
Hmm.
Even though human brains are meant to be functioned in the similar way,
Hmm.
yet the outcome of every individual would be different. So same is with the case of a therapy. If I am practicing NDT over a cerebral palsy child and
Okay, so
practicing it,
sorry to
yeah.
interrupt. I would just like to, be elaborative if you use some medical terms because the people won't be understanding. So I would like to describe you to describe what is NDT and a bit about cerebral palsy, just the definition, or just in a simple
Okay.
language.
Okay. So sure. NDT is just one of the techniques we use in as a traditional technique, which
Mm-hmm.
refers to neurodevelopmental technique. Okay, so therapy is one of the conditions which in the kids. So what happens in cerebral palsy, because of the lack of oxygen supply at the birth, due
Mm-hmm.
to any reason, there some part of your brain stops functioning. Okay, so there's some damage, neurological damage to your brain. So it comes under various symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which varies, like lots of symptoms comes, but if you say in short, it's occurred due to a lack of oxygen supply in our brain.
Okay.
So what I was trying to say, that if you give same treatment protocol
Mm-hmm.
to the two different individuals
Mm-hmm.
with the different diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it won't
Mm-hmm.
work same, because why? idea of applying the neurodevelopmental technique towards one patient with physical illness and the other with the communication issue or a delayed milestone would be different. So
Yeah.
the outcome will automatically will be
Be
different. Though
different.
I'm using
Exactly.
the same input,
Mm-hmm.
though the the structures of both the individuals are programmed to work as same,
Hmm.
but because the input affects different systems of the body, that's
Mm-hmm.
why the outcome is also different.
Okay, great. So you had a great clinical exposure in terms of the hospitals and everything. So any clinical case where you just thought that, this is like a miraculous case or something like that, and you were like awestruck with the case? Any such
Well,
incident?
well, every case has in my academic training and during my internship has amazed me. Every case has taught me something.
Hmm.
Either it's on the level of my professional work or on the level of my personal, like
Hmm.
thinking process of the patient or
Hmm.
the motivational level a patient has.
Yeah. Hmm.
So that's the best part about occupational therapy, that get the clinical diversity is so vast
Hmm.
that you can vary about the conditions and you can learn a lot from every case you see in your life.
Hmm.
But yes, the prognosis of infants specifically
Hmm.
and the cases of the elderly patients,
Okay.
they never fail to amaze me. The
Hmm.
amount of change you see in them is really amazes me.
Hmm.
I'll say about one case I've seen. So this was my postings in a pediatric ward. There was this child with Erb's palsy. Okay,
Okay.
this happens occur at during the time of the birth because of the
Okay.
compression of the nerve at the shoulder level.
Hmm.
When the child is born, he's pulled out.
Okay.
So at that time, sometimes the nerves compresses at the shoulder joint, which result
Uh-huh.
in the palsy at the hand. So with that case, the child is not able to use his hands.
Okay.
This was a child I saw of approximately, I think, 1 month old. And so I was there for the posting for about a month. And within those 4 weeks, we have seen the level of prognosis that the child was not able to move even a finger, was not able to raise his hand till about elbow level. So that
Wow.
was really amazing.
Hmm.
And similarly was the case with the elderlies. No, they are the most challenging people to deal with because of
Mm-hmm.
ample of factors. But when they do the things you prescribe to them and when you involve them in the therapies, the amount of their motivation level changes, the amount of their participation in activities increases day by day.
Hmm.
That is something really amazing.
Okay. Wow. So, moving on to the creative part, I think that's the most
Okay.
exciting and the fun part. I would just like to discuss with you about there are a lot of therapies, whether it be dance therapies or whether it be hydrotherapy. There is sensory integration. There is art therapy. There are a lot of therapies that are, they add on to the traditional therapies or things like that.
Right.
So I would just like you to explain all these therapies a bit and what are
Mhm.
their importance and how they change the
Hmm.
procedure and change the whole course of treatment or the course of
Okay.
therapy.
Yeah. So, as you mentioned about art therapy, it
Hmm.
is something which involve. It's basically you are doing all your the creative art which we used to do in our school times or as our in our
Mm-hmm.
teenager part. It
Hmm.
involves those activities in a therapeutic manner.
Hmm.
Okay, so they focus over involving your mind and body with
Hmm.
those therapies. So these are very effective in the conditions like cognitive issues, where people have difficulty with some of the color perceptions,
Hmm.
or about numbering, or about your memory. So these
Hmm.
are very effective in those conditions. And also it helps in the sensory motor functions. It promotes a lot of self awareness. When
Hmm.
I have seen clients, when doing getting into the art therapy, they
Hmm.
get more aware about what was the state of their mind,
Exactly.
what kind of emotions were there. So
Hmm.
when they draw something, or when they pick up the colors,
Hmm.
they themselves realize that, okay, I have been using a lot of dark colors. I
Hmm.
probably, this was not my favorite colors anytime. This
Hmm.
seems to be very dull. Or
Hmm.
it goes other way also.
Yeah, yeah.
The client is very, not in a good mood, but when he
Hmm.
sits there to express himself with the colors or with art forms, so they get a very different level of a mental satisfaction. It's good, very good for your stress reduction. And obviously as a leisure activity also, it's very recommended in the patients
Hmm.
with mental health issues, and patients in the ward as a bedside
Hmm.
activities.
Hmm.
So apart from that, we talked about hydrotherapy. Okay, so hydrotherapy or aquatherapy,
Yeah.
it is a form of an therapy in which the all the exercises are performed in the water.
Okay.
Okay, so it basically assists your rehabilitation process a lot. It
Hmm.
We usually use hydrotherapy in the conditions of like neurological disorders, in the cases of paralysis, in the cases of muscular dystrophy, all
Okay.
the musculoskeletal conditions. In
Uh-huh.
fact, for the basic musculoskeletal disorders, we use it for. The main aim of the hydrotherapy is to, first of all, the main aim is to give muscle relaxations. It is very effective in the techniques of muscular relaxation. It's because of the water which we use in the aquatherapy, that is usually a warm water. So
Hmm.
warm water, studies shows that warm water improves your blood circulation, and
Okay.
it helps your muscles to relax better. And it's very good for because of this reason, very good for pain management also.
Hmm.
And in the severe cases of muscular dystrophy or paralysis, we use it for improving the joint range of motion, or for the strengthening and muscle re-education.
Okay.
So it's a very very good therapy. I have seen, I've never got the opportunity to do it, but yes,
Hmm.
I have seen clinically people doing hydrotherapies.
Okay.
Apart from that, you would talk about sensory integration also.
Hmm.
So what happens in sensory integration? In today's world, sensory integration is one of the most practiced techniques
Hmm.
you will see,
Hmm. In occupational
specifically,
therapy. Hmm.
yeah, in occupational therapy also. And people are doing like specific certification courses also in
Yeah.
sensory integration. So what is sensory integration is? It is basically I will tell you in a way, because its definition is very complex, so I'll try to
Yeah.
get it into a
Simple.
very simple language. It's basically your ability. It uses a therapy that has an ability to organize all your senses into a functionality.
Hmm.
So what I mean to say is that you process all the sensory information from
Hmm.
the environment, and
Hmm.
you try to use it in an appropriate way.
Ah.
So
Okay.
that what sensory integration is all about. You give a sensory stimulus, you
Hmm.
allow your brain to process that stimulus, and then an desired response is created out of it.
Okay.
That how it works.
Okay.
And
Great.
it's very effective in the kids with autism.
Hmm.
Because autism is a condition in which most of the kids have the sensory issues.
Hmm.
So to organize the sensory systems, to bring down their hyperactivity to a normal level, or to raise the system of hypoactive to
Hmm.
appropriate arousal level, we
Hmm.
use such sensory stimulus.
Okay.
And then you talk also about dance therapy.
Hmm.
So dance therapy is again, it's a form of a creative therapy is very effective for your posture, for movements, for
Hmm.
balance training. It
Hmm.
involves multiple kind of a complex joint movements.
Hmm.
So it's mostly used in the patients where we have to treat with conditions having difficulty in the movement
Movement.
patterns.
Huh.
And then all of these assisted therapies
Hmm.
ultimately affects your mental health a lot. It is really good for your mental health. It elevates your mood. It's very interesting to the patients as well as for the
Yeah.
therapist itself.
Yeah.
So it's the people really enjoy these therapies.
Hmm. Okay. So I would just like to show our viewers a clip on these therapies. Just some pictures and some. Yeah. So this is about this. These are some pictures of dance therapy being done at different centers at international and national levels. So this is how we basically, waking up the brain. It's like, and it's about art therapy. The what as ma'am also said that it's not just about the time we give to our children. It's about what happens with the mind. You know. Yeah. So this was just a small clip. Okay. So now we will be moving on to our next question.
Mhm.
Verma. So we talked about geriatric and stroke patients and the old age patients. So how while treating them, how creativity as a occupational therapist, how is your creativity comes into play while treating them, especially the geriatric patients?
Um, See, what happens in elderly is that because of there's a decline in their cognitive and the physical functioning, which is a natural process of aging.
Hmm.
So, elderly people are not able to participate in their activities of daily living, even though they want to, but because of either their health conditions or because of the physical limitations, they are not able to do so.
Hmm.
And secondly, they have a lot of time to spend, but
Hmm.
they don't know how to
How to
make a
spend and how to utilize their time in an
routine
effective way. Hmm.
effective way. So
Hmm.
that where the role of an occupational therapist comes into play. We adapt the environment according to the need of the patient. What are their interest of the elderly people? No, it's basically you are opening them to the new ideas because they're living in the same conditions. They are doing the same activities what they have learned over the period of time. But
Hmm.
as an occupational therapist, you can evolve new activities using those limited available resources.
Hmm.
So this helps them to effectively use their uh, time of the day. And moreover, a kind of a meaningful activity they are engaging into. It might be anything. No, you can involve them into gardening. You can involve them into playing with their grandchildrens, or you can involve them with effectively doing something for their self, for of their own interest, whether it be like reading books, or playing some instrument, listening to some particular kind of music,
Hmm.
expressing themselves somewhere in a form of a art, or on the platforms of social media. You can always make them involved into
Some kind
their
of
according to activities of their interest.
interest. Hmm.
So what happens with all of these processes? They get a sense of accomplishment. They
Hmm.
feel productive in a day. They
Hmm.
feel they are still worthy enough to live.
Exactly.
Yeah, so no, it's a very complex situation in elderlies because they have done all of their part of
Hmm.
life, and what is happening now is a change in life.
Change in their lives. Yeah. The
And this
emotional,
changes, yeah,
yeah, the
emotional
emotional side.
regulations. and everything. This is not something which is, it's a part of a normal life.
Yeah.
So people do face these challenges in adapting to these kind of emotional and social changes in their life.
Hmm. Okay. So we talked, by talking to you, I just realized that it's so important to be creative. I mean, of course, and with the coming years, when we are getting into so much into technology and digitalization, somewhere
Hmm.
down the line, we are just losing ourselves, and we are just, giving ourselves to the robots and to the mechanized world. So,
True, so true.
according to you, how important it is for not just occupational therapists, but I would just like to talk primarily about occupational therapists to be creative and innovative at the same time, because I think in India. The awareness level is very low in case of occupational therapy, and point number two is that the affordability factor also comes into play.
Right.
It's like the whole setup of getting into the therapies, whether it be the psychological therapies, the physical therapies, visiting a pediatrician, psychiatrist. It's such a financially it's very strenuous. So how can we make these things more affordable by being innovative or things like that? So how do you think that where are the scopes actually to be innovative and creative in the field of occupational therapy?
See, creativity is one of the factors which is really important in the occupational therapy interventions itself,
Hmm.
because all of our intervention, these are based upon the activity based treatment.
Hmm.
We involve patients into some more kind of the other activity, and from those activity we know how to gain out of what desired goal we want the person to be achieve.
Yeah.
So that's why it's very important for an occupational therapist to be innovative and creative, so that
Hmm.
their patients can also feel that this person has a lot to give to me. So
Hmm.
it's me who is thinking that I have those barriers in my life. I
Hmm.
am not able to do activities, but that is not the fact. That is, you have that path of working productively for the patient. You have to create.
Hmm.
So for the whatever the available resources are with the patients, you should know how to create different type of activities out of those limited resources. It's
Hmm.
a tough job, but then also you learn it with your experiences and through your own creativity, because every mind works
It
differently.
works differently,
So
yeah.
one therapy I can create, I know how to achieve this activity, some other can do this some other way. And
Hmm.
what I prefer is I ask patient, how do you
Hmm.
want to do this activity? Do you want to play with the ball, or do
Hmm.
you want to kick the ball, or you want
Hmm.
to hit the bottles with the ball? So
Hmm.
my goal is to that the child should learn to throw the ball, which
Yeah.
is getting getting achieved. If I'm
Hmm.
doing this with a elderly patient, my goal is to maintain his strength,
Hmm.
maintain his balance. This
Hmm.
is also achieving in all these activities.
Hmm.
This is something you learn over the time. And
Hmm.
then in today's world, everything is available everywhere on the net, on
Yeah,
everything. So
yeah.
you discuss it with your create some activities for yourself, see what you like, what
You.
the other
Hmm.
person like, what your mother like.
Hmm.
So you get these ideas, everything from all the environment in around you.
Yeah.
But I feel that for being innovative and creative, it doesn't mean that you always think out of the box.
Hmm. You
Sometimes
can
you
just
think
think.
inside the
Yeah.
box
Yeah. 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 It's so true.
and just see what are the available resources you have. Just
Hmm.
take those resources and just create something within that box. That
Yeah.
I feel is much more important than thinking
Huh,
out of
just.
the box.
Hmm.
We are in into the situation that we always think, okay, kuch, we have to do something, let's think of a higher level.
Higher level.
It's
Of course. It's not
really
required.
not necessary.
Yeah.
Sometimes the basic goals can be achieved with the
Achieved with the basic of
basic
it.
activities.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, so
And what creativity also does to the patient, it's fun not only for the patient, it's fun for me as well. That's why I
hmm,
enjoy my job also. That is one of the
hmm,
reason. Me
hmm,
being a very interactive person, always, getting into all kind of activities during my school time, and
hmm,
then those activities I'm yet able to do it.
hmm,
What happens is when people grow up, when they are busy in their jobs, they
hmm,
lose their interest. That is
hmm.
not happening with my case. I'm already
Yeah,
carrying out my interest in some
yeah,
or
yeah.
the other ways. It's fun
Hmm,
for me as well.
hmm. As you grow, you need to grow the child within you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I would just like to hear from you a small message for the upcoming generations who want to be. I don't think we say that in India there is so much of awareness to for students to become occupational therapists, but maybe we could just motivate them from this session. So a small message from your side, whether it can be for parents, for children, for students who are in their high school.
See, I would just say if you are very compassionate about pursuing a medical healthcare professional
Hmm.
just to serve the society
Hmm.
and for the purpose of actually doing something for human population, actually you want to treat patients, you should definitely opt for occupational therapy. It's
Hmm.
one of the reasons, major reasons I also chose occupational therapy, because I realized that this is the profession that is actually going to help me to serve the people. It's,
Yeah.
when somebody has lost hopes in their life and
Mm,
you show them those hopes, you show them
exactly.
that motivation that no, you can do this.
Yeah.
And you actually prove to them that you
You.
are doing this.
Hmm.
It is practically possible.
Yeah.
That is a work of an occupational therapist. Either
Yeah.
you get the patient to symptomatically better, which
Hmm.
very difficult in the cases of disability specifically,
Hmm.
but there's always a point where you can create opportunities for those people.
Yeah.
That's why they
Obviously.
are known as differently abled, because
Abled.
some activities which
Obviously.
you
You
cannot
can't.
do it, they
Exactly.
are
They can't
doing.
do it. Hmm.
So
So true.
I would just say, if you really want to do something for human population, you should definitely come into occupational therapy.
Okay. Great. You want to say something else?
No, no. I just wanted to say that if you are a current, if you are listening and you're a current occupational therapy student or have recently graduated, I would just like to say to them, and also a reminder to myself also, that you just go with the flow.
Hmm.
There, don't try to be a perfect clinician. It's a whole learning process. I
Hmm.
remember I was very anxious during my whole clinical hours that, oh, I don't know this, I have
Hmm.
no idea about this. But since past during my internship, I realized it's okay to not know so many things, because
Yeah. You learn with
I
the
know,
process.
yes, you learn with the process. It's okay to feel anxious at this moment of time.
Hmm.
You are not able to decide what you have to do in life, but then give yourself a time and opportunity to explore something different in
Hmm.
life.
It's so important to know yourself and explore. Okay, so our founder, Dr. Harprashad Mishra, has sent a message for you. I would just like to hear
Sure.
me. Okay, 1 second.
Hi, this is Dr. HPM Haraprasad Mishra, the founder of this organization called MH. And I'm here to thank Ms. Anushka Puri for being the part of this beautiful journey and sharing her experiences and getting us through this wonderful podcast. Speaking on this beautiful therapy course, that is the Bachelor's of Occupational Therapy, and I will just say that the only impossible journey is the one you never begin. And thank you, Ms. Anushka, for being part of this MH edition of podcast. And hope you had a wonderful time with our host, Ms. Smriti. And from the whole team of MH India, as well as the audiences, I wish that you have a great fun and a great success in your future. Have a great time. Stay safe. Stay happy. That's the small message. Again, thank you very much for being part of MH.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a beautiful message. And I would really like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to be on a podcast and have this fun conversation with you. I really enjoyed it. And I'm
I
looking forward for more sessions.
Oh,
I
sure.
really enjoyed.
Yeah, it was a pleasure too to host you, and I gained a lot from this talk. I gained I actually got to know a lot about occupational therapy.
I'm so
So
glad that you learned something and you found it to be
yeah,
informative.
yeah. It's so good to be, feel informed. So I think, yeah, it was a great session. Thank you. And
Thank
I'm looking forward to host you again, maybe in the near future.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Stay safe. Okay.
If you like this video and found this video useful, then please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy.